Hello, fishes of the world. Today we're going to try something we haven't done for a while. We are going to try to make floors, walls, and roof pieces for a building system in Blender. We're going to start off as we always start off, and if you're using Unreal, you can follow along, and if you're not, you do not have to. This is sizing for Unreal. I do not know the sizing for other systems. You'll have to look that up if you're using something else, or whatever the situation may be. And we're just going to get the last one here. Did I miss this one? What did I do? Where is it? Where is it? There it is. We're just going to change to 0.1 on both. Alright, and we should be able to get started. First thing we're going to need to do is kind of get a size for everything in general that we're going to be using. So, as you can see, this square is 1 by 1 by 1 by 1. So what we're probably going to do here is change this to 2 by 2. Alright, and that's already at 1, so actually maybe we'll go a little bit more. It's going to depend on how big the pieces you want to use are going to be, but let's do, I don't know, 3 by 3 seems wrong. Let's try 4 by 4. Okay, and we'll start off with the floor piece, and then we'll do roof pieces after. But, so I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do this. I just know that they all have to match and we'll get there eventually. So let's do a Shift D first. Let's just take this piece in case we need the original and just move it up. And if we need to put it back, we can just hit a 0 here. And now we have a piece that if anything gets messed up or isn't correct, we can use as a reference. I'm going to shrink this down to around half. As you can see, at just under 50 there. Try to get as close as you can. You can make it 50 even if you want, just by doing something like that. Alright, so that's gonna be my floor thickness of the buildings I'm gonna use, so it should be good. Alright, so let's start. Okay, floor piece, really easy. We just need a square like that basically, so let's make our next piece. Alright, so here's where things start to get a little different, and you gotta kind of use your intelligence to keep everything in whack. So obviously, a wall piece is going to be a lot different than this piece, so we're going to have to change it a little bit. Let's see. We'll go 0.5 like that and drag it over. Actually, let's just leave it in the middle. Would be better, wouldn't it? So let's undo the last one. Undo the last one. There we go. We're going to find a standard height that we like, so let's just kind of stretch it out until we're round happy, and then we'll round the number off to something more even. So I think we're going to be like 7. So let's just do 7 and hopefully that's going to work out. I think it will. So we'll just do 7. Alright. And just to kind of get a standard size for the walls. And then when we're making the opposite walls, we can make sure they're exactly in line. So we got 4 wide, we got 7 tall. That's going to be our wall piece. We can change these sizes, we just need to make sure they all match in the end. For when we place a wall piece on a floor piece, it actually matches, right? So our next step would probably be, you probably have to make another piece like so. Maybe you want one with a window. So we'll grab that piece and we'll pull up a new block. And we'll make a wall piece that doesn't have a window. And we'll make a wall piece that does have a window. And there's a couple more things we're going to have to do, but we'll just do it one step at a time. So hopefully it's super easy to understand and not frustrating. I'm just stretching that piece out with S. Now I'm just going to drag it basically back into the middle. It's already centered perfectly, so I'm just going to choose my height. I could do this a different way, but I feel like this is going to be the best way. So I'm going to set it around there. I feel like that's going to be a good wall height. And I think most characters in games are 6 tall, so 7 should be enough that you got head clearance. But you may have to size a bit once you get it into your game as well. And I'm not going to attach these pieces so they don't have to be exactly lined up. I just need to have each piece made. So I'm going to take this square and I'm going to hit Shift D. Okay, I'm going to right click and I'm going to click this piece second, Shift left click. Then I'm going to go to the bool and I'm going to do difference, and I'm going to use this difference instead of the lower one because we don't have to make any adjustments. We know that since there's nothing attached to that piece, there should be no troubles with putting a bool in it. I'm going to take that piece and I'm just going to try to make it just bigger than the window so it makes like a window cell shape type thing. Alright, and then we're going to go into edit mode. We'll grab, go to faces up here. We'll grab this face, grab that face. We'll hit I. Alright, then we're going to hit E. And I'm going to right click after that to cancel it. And then I'm just going to drag it in a little bit from side to side. And it should match how much it goes in from each side. Go a little bit farther. Just don't cross over for your window panes flip, because then you'll have backwards panels. So now we have our window shape. It looks pretty good to me. You can go ahead, have a look at it, make sure it's perfectly centered on your door. What you could do to make sure that you're actually perfectly centered too is just hit 0. And go to this one and hit 0. Now we absolutely know we are perfectly centered in the middle of the other piece. So our window will stick out exactly the same on both sides. And that's what you want, is consistency with your building. So we're going to hit Control J. Alright, and that's going to be one wall piece. Now again, if you need to make your pieces longer, if you need to make them anything like that, you're going to have to start over and kind of go through these steps again. But it's going to depend on the exact type of building structure type you want. Maybe you want the base piece to be bigger. You're just going to want to make sure you match your walls and things like that, so that you don't end up with some weird geometry where things don't match up, right? Okay, so let's look at this. Let's go Shift D. Let's drag it back in the middle. And we need to do the opposite. We can turn the piece, or we can do this. Okay, it's the exact same thing. We're just moving the piece the opposite way, basically. We just set that the opposite way. Alright, and we're just going to move this out of the way for now, and this out of the way for now. So we got those pieces. Okay, let's move this piece, Shift D it. Let's bring it back over to this side, and we'll put a door on this one. And again, we're just making different types of walls. I guess we don't need this extra blank, but we'll keep it anyways. And we need to set up a door on this one. So let's go to our cube. Let's kind of stretch the cube into the shape of a door. Okay. Let's move it up a little bit. Take this one, and you know we got to center it again. So we're going to take that, and we're just going to center it on the piece. That way, it's easier to make our door frame and our door a separate piece. So our first time, we got to go and make sure we're cut out at the bottom, which we are. We're much through the bottom, actually. And maybe we'll just fix that a bit. Okay, something like that. We just need to make sure we get through the bottom. So we can take both pieces and just lift them up and make sure we're gonna. I could see this piece. Oh, we might want to just see how we just got it through there now. So we're going to make a clean cut. Alright, so what we need to do, I think that's about right. You may have to adjust it if you want to make your door way more slim or more wide, but I feel like that's about right. So what we're going to do is Shift D, and then we're going to left click and Shift left click to grab the other piece. Go ahead and go to our bool again and difference. What we've done now is we've made a perfect shape of a doorway into that piece, okay? So now that we've done that, doors are not usually thicker than walls, so we'll thin this out. We'll thin it out a bit this way. There's a small crack at the top and bottom. It's a little hard to do. The closer you get, the easier it will be to do, so something like that anyways. You can see it has clearance on both sides. Now we're just going to do the same for the other way and just give it just a hair of clearance both ways, right? Because the door doesn't sit exactly tight. There's usually a crack around it like that. You can make it a closer fit if you want. You could use S, which would just make it a hair easier to get it exact if you're trying to get like almost exact type thing like that maybe. Either way. Alright, so there's a few different ways we could do our door, but we have our door piece. What I'll do is add a door handle, and then you can kind of decide what you want to do to your door, if you want a window on it, if you want panels on it. Most doors have panels on them, but everybody's going to do it a little bit different, is what I would say. Everybody pictures something different in their heads, oddly enough. What might help you is if you just go ahead and Google and just be like most popular door or something like that, and then you'll get the best vision of what everybody's view of it is. So something like this, make sure we're sticking it the same on both sides. If we're centered, we should be. Decide what side do you want your handle to be on. Decide where you want your handle to be, usually about midway level. Something like that. We could take the door before we go and just kind of give it some kind of pattern by going tab and just grab this face and then shift grab this face, and then we'll hit I, and then we're just going to adjust it side to side because it looks funny like that. And then we can go E, and we'll just bring it in a hair again. And we're just going to give this door some style, basically. And then we'll go I again. And then we'll go E again. And I'm going to right click to cancel, and we're just going to bring it out that hair again. It should give it a little bit of flair for the door. If you want to do 2 panels, if you want to do 3 panels, whatever you want to do is alright. I'm just making a basic door to give you the idea of how to do it. Alright, let's go here. Here's our door handle. Perfect. There's 2 other ways we can make the actual door handle. Or we could try to do both sides at once. Let's try that. I don't think I've ever done that, but let's give it a shot. I don't need that one piece, and it keeps getting in my way, so I'm actually going to delete this piece. We don't really need it. We have all our types of walls, so we're going to go I, like that, and then we're going to go E, and we're going to cancel, and then we're going to use this to drag it out a bit, and then we're going to go I. Sorry, we're not going to go I. We're going to go E again. We're going to pull it out just a hair this time. We're going to go S and make this a bit bigger. It's really hard to do both sides at once. We might have to do one side at a time. How can I do this a little easier? Yeah, this might not be the best way to do it. Let's try something else here. And again, I didn't plan this out. I'm just kind of winging it, so keep that in mind. Try not to get frustrated with me. Alright, I think it was this one. Yeah, perfect. We're just going to do the same thing, kind of shrink it down to the size of the door for just a little bit sticking through each side. It would be like the door handle plate, basically. And then we're going to Shift D that, and we're just going to drag it off to one side. We're just going to do one side at a time. We're going to S shrink it like that. And the reason being is when you try to do 2, sometimes it gets a little too complicated, especially if you're putting a complex shape into it, which we are. So we're going to grab that. We're going to go E. We're going to make sure you're real close to it because it's easier to control things when you're close to them, like to make a small adjustment. We'll go E again and hit an S to make it grow. And we're just going to give it a little door handle shape. E again. Maybe we'll start going down the other way like this. E again. And something like that anyways. And then we can take this little piece in the middle here, and you can put a lock on it if you want, or you can leave it just kind of flat. You can also go Control B on it to kind of bevel it down to make it more rounder, but keep it in mind you're going to add a lot of vertices by doing so, so it's going to be more costly. But I think that's pretty much getting the idea. What might help it have a little better shape too is just kind of shrinking it in like that, and then kind of growing the whole thing together like this. Okay. I feel like, you know what? I feel like we should make the whole thing a bit bigger like that, and you're gonna have to kind of use your judgment on this stuff to make sure it's perfect, but you get the idea. We're gonna grab that face and go shrinky, shrinky, shrinky. And then we're going to go to lines up here. And remember, you can make these adjustments anytime. It just takes a little bit of time to kind of get in there and grab them all. We're going to follow the circle by hitting Control. Oops. And if you make a mistake, you can just hit undo. undo. See? Not a big deal. It's really hard to grab these, so control left click when you can. Make sure you don't grab nothing wrong. I think I got them all. Yeah. Like that. Once you're sure you got them all, hit S, shrink it down maybe. And this is going to make our door handle look a little bit better. There we go. Alright, and you're saying, well, we need one on their side. Yes, we do. Shift D. You're completely right. We'll test which way it is, that way. So then we will add a minus. And then we will do minus 90 here. Yep. And there we go. Perfectly in line with the other one. Make sure they're where you want them. If you want your handle to be more in, go ahead and bump them in. Whatever you need to do. Something like that. Looks pretty good to me. Make sure it looks good to you and you're happy with it. Control J to attach them. And then grab the door, Control J to attach that. Now you have one piece, one door. Alright? Real easy, real simple, no problem. So we got floors, we got walls, we got windows, we got doors. The last thing we really need is roof pieces. What I'm going to do on the roof piece is we're going to change this to 3. Okay? And it's almost as thick as it is side to sides, basically. So we're going to Shift D that to start before we do any modifications. And the reason is that we're going to need another block after, because there's a few different types of roof pieces we're going to need. Alright, so first piece we're definitely going to need. So we're going to grab this piece, highlight it, and push Tab to go into edit mode. We're going to grab that edge. And we're just going to wheel it on down, like so. So you're gonna have to either do one of two things. You can delete this, dissolve edge, and it's gonna give you a perfect triangle. Or if you want a little lip there, you're gonna have to try to keep every lip on every piece exactly the same. You're gonna need to keep that in mind, and it can be a little frustrating at times to try to do so. So there's one piece. You can flip it either way, so it could be both sides of the roof. So you can make it two separate pieces if you really want. You may want to corner pieces for joining pieces. This is again where things get a little difficult, but try to follow with me and hopefully this works for you. I'm just going to go to vertexes, and I'm just going to dissolve this vertex. And I don't know if that's really a good way to do that. I feel like it's not, but I'm not exactly sure what would be the best otherwise, because we dissolve the edge the other way. So, but it's going to give you that right angle that you need to make your corner piece at the same time. So maybe before I do it, I'll make another one just in case I'm forgetting about a piece or something like that. And then I can, if I go into my game and something goes wrong, I can come back and make that last piece, right? But I think this will work. The only other way I can think to do it is like this. Okay, let's undo that. Okay, we're gonna hit Shift and this. Okay, and then we're gonna get out of there and we're gonna highlight this one as well with Shift. Okay, and then we're gonna highlight that edge as well, like this. Okay, now we should be able to bring them down together and perfectly match the edges, if you see what I mean. And it's more of a distinct edge too. So that's another way you can do it. You think about it. You think about the best way that works for you. But that should be all the pieces you really need. This should connect to the other piece, so you should be perfectly flat on the roof at that point. The only thing that's left to do is really color. I'm not going to go through coloring in this video because you guys, if you followed any of my other videos, you absolutely know how to color by now. So if you need them, you can check out my channel. I got lots of videos up there, just about everything you can think of, and in Blender, and not to mention I make my own games, me and my wife, and we play a lot of games, and I review a lot of games. So whatever you're into, you're going to find something on my channel. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. You can check out my game on Steam if you want to show some appreciation. It's Fishton, A Town to Remember. And there's another game coming out at the end of the month, Yard Sale Simulator. Demo will be out by the end of this month of June. So hopefully you check that out. Put it on your wish list if you're interested. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.